Today, New Zealand housing inequality grinds on. Hello again, it's Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics, where latest posts covering finance and property news with a distinctively Australian flavour. There was a significant piece in the conversation by Claire Dale, Research Fellow at the University of Auckland, titled "The Coming Storm for New Zealand's Future Retirees Still Renting and Not Enough Savings to Avoid Poverty." A large number of New Zealanders are facing a perfect storm at retirement with minimal savings and no house, raising the risk that thousands will enter old age in poverty. According to the latest retirement expenditure guidelines from Massey University, a two-person retiree household living an urban choices lifestyle, which includes some luxuries, would need to have saved about 809,000 New Zealand dollars. In the provinces, a couple would need to have saved 511,000 New Zealand dollars. New Zealanders have traditionally relied on owning a home to support themselves during their retirement years, but many of the New Zealanders now aged between 50 and 65, a cohort of almost 500,000 people, will go into retirement as renters after skyrocketing house prices over the last 3 decades put home ownership out of reach. At the same time, this generation were already working adults when the Labour government introduced KiwiSaver in 2007 and are less likely to have a significant savings cushion. Last year, Treasury raised concerns that this mixed group of baby boomers and Generation X will not be able to financially manage retirement on their own. Home ownership in New Zealand has fallen to the lowest rate in 70 years, with just 65% of people living in houses they own, down from the peak of 74% in the 1990s. According to the 2018 census, around 1 in 4 people between 50 and 65 don't own the home they live in. Research by Kay Saville-Smith from the Centre of Research Evaluation and Social Assessment suggests that by 2053, almost half of over 65s would be renting. That would mean 640,000 over 65s renting, including 306,000 renters aged over 85. This issue of declining home ownership disproportionately affects those who have remained on low incomes throughout their working life. This in turn has stark consequences for Maori and Pacific people in New Zealand. Between 1986 and 2013, the proportion of Maori and Pacific peoples living in owner-occupied housing fell at a faster rate than the overall population, down 20% and 34% respectively. And in the last 5 years, nationwide rents have risen 28% across all property types and regions. For increasing numbers of people, housing, whether through ownership or renting, has become unaffordable. The rapidly increasing rental costs have also reduced the ability of people to save for their own home. In 2007, the government of the day set up KiwiSaver as a voluntary savings scheme to help New Zealanders save for their retirement and to lift New Zealand's low national savings rate. But New Zealanders aged 50 to 64 were already adults and mid-career when KiwiSaver was launched. In the low-wage New Zealand economy, they're likely to have contributed only 3% of wages, in addition to the employer's 3%. While some will have used their KiwiSaver account plus the government subsidy to put a deposit on a home purchase, few will have saved a significant nest egg for retirement. The 2021 Financial Markets Authority KiwiSaver report showed average balances of only $26,410. Now, there is some support for retirees. When a person reaches the qualifying age of 65 years, they receive New Zealand superannuation, currently $437 per week after tax for a single person. But superannuation is predicated on owning your home rather than renting. Home ownership means effectively living rent-free, with only rates and maintenance as regular necessary expenses in addition to food, power and phone. Those people renting are currently confronted by a median weekly rental for a small house or apartment of $390 per week. While they may also be able to access the accommodation supplement and temporary additional support to assist with costs, a new threat has emerged in the form of inflation. Consumer price index inflation peaked at close to 6.35% in early 2022, its highest level in 3 decades. As well as steady increases in the price of electricity, petrol prices increased by 10% over the past year, and annual food prices rose 6.85% in February year-on-year. Fruit and vegetables are the largest contributors to the price rise. Car use can be contained with less recreational outings, but electricity, fruit and vegetables are needed for health. None of this is going unnoticed, though. The Treasury has raised the alarm about the increase of old age poverty, and many in the 50 to 65 age group share those concerns and are approaching retirement with rational trepidation. But this doesn't seem to have been created by supply-side issues, as according to Stats New Zealand, the seasonally adjusted number of new homes consented in February 2022 rose 10.5% compared with January 2022. This follows a season-adjusted fall of 8.7% in January 2022 and a season-adjusted rise of 0.6% in December 2021. The number of homes consented can fluctuate from month to month due to large apartment and townhouse projects. The seasonally adjusted number of new standalone houses consented, which excludes the more volatile category, rose 3.5% in February 2022. That follows a 0.1% fall in January 2022. Overall, the number of new homes consented in the year ended February 2022 reached a new annual record of 49,733, up 25% compared with the same period in 2021. Prior to 2021, the highest number of new homes consented was 40,025 in the year ended February 1974. February 2022's record is almost 10,000 higher, they said. The February 1974 record was first broken in the year ended March 2021. There were 4,195 new homes consented in February 2022, up 34%. Compared with the same month last year, and the highest ever recorded for the month of February. In the year ended February 2022, 49,733 homes were consented, comprising of 25,518 houses, that was 51% of the total, 17,403 townhouses, flats and units, that's 35%, 3,910 apartments, 8%, and 2,942 retirement village units, 6% of the total. 5 regions reached record annual numbers of new homes consented in the year ended February 2022. These were Auckland with 20,786, up 22% from the year ended February 2021. Canterbury with 8,317, up 42%. Wellington with 3,687, up 24%. And Otago with 2,449, up 27%. Northland with 1,525, up 46%. When population size is taken into account, the region with the most new homes consented in the year ended February 2022 was Canterbury, with 12.8 new homes per 1,000 residents, they said. Next was Auckland with 12.1, Waikato with 10.1, and Otago with 9.9. These regional figures compared with 9.7 new homes consented per 1,000 residents across New Zealand in the year ended February 2022, up from 7.8% in the year ended February 2021. The record number of new homes consented per 1,000 residents was 13.4 in the year ended December 1973. And in an opinion piece by Tracy Watkins, the editor of the Sunday Star Times, she said that home ownership used to be one of those things we claimed as a New Zealand rite of passage. But with house prices here among the most unaffordable in the world, it shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone that home ownership rates have plummeted in recent years to just 65% at the time of the last census in 2018. According to Statistics New Zealand, the proportion of people living in their own home was the lowest in almost 70 years when the census was taken. Home ownership peaked in the 1990s at 74%, and by 2018 had fallen back to 65% of households, which was the lowest rate since 1951. But among young people, the fall is particularly stark, especially in those in their 20s and 30s. In 1991, 61% of people aged 25 to 29 lived in an owner-occupied home. By 2018, that had dropped to 44%. Similarly, for those aged in their late 30s, the rate dropped from 79% in 1991 to 59% in 2018. We all know what's happened between 2018 and now. Of course, the property market has been frenzied and property prices soared 40% during the 2 years of the pandemic alone. Anyone who wasn't already in the property market has watched the prospect of home ownership slip away further and further from reach. But none of this is news, of course. We've known for years that there's been a growing divide in New Zealand between the property class and the rest. Increasingly, you need parents or family with property to have any hope of getting onto the property ladder. And that's an advantage that carries over into retirement as well, with the number of people retiring either dependent on rental accommodation or still paying a mortgage on the rise. It's a ticking time bomb for the future and needs more urgent solutions than any that are on the table currently. Home ownership is the surest path to a more comfortable retirement, not just in terms of income, but for peace of mind and security. The stress of renting when on a fixed income, given the uncertainty of our rental market and the fear of either being booted out or rents being hiked, takes a mental and physical toll, as well as a financial one. And there's a reason why there used to be a saying about a person's home being their castle. Now, what's the answers? Well, it's encouraging to hear Retirement Commissioner Jane Wrightson said thought is being given to things like rent-to-own schemes and other innovation solutions. Building more social housing must also be part of the mix. But we also have to confront the truth that for many, many families, New Zealand is no longer a great place to be a child, and in the future, not such a great place to grow old either. The reality is, despite record low unemployment, the problems of entrenched poverty and housing inequality are bigger than they ever were. Yet our politicians are a broken record, arguing the paltry difference between tax cuts of a few dollars a week and benefit increases which are gobbled up by rising costs and rents even before they've been delivered. Neither of which is going to be much comfort to the Kiwis, for whom a lotto win is the only path to a comfortable old age. Yep, it's certainly a mess, but the point to understand here is it is a mess by deliberate plan. Government policy over many years has created the problem in New Zealand as it has in Australia. And yet, of course, whilst there's a little lip service to trying to do things around the edges to try and alleviate the problem a little, the root cause issues are not being addressed, and probably won't be, because it would be politically unacceptable to let house prices slide much at all. That is the real problem we've got, created by politics, not economics. I'm Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Many thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.